Hey everyone, and welcome to another video. So today I have been on Facebook occasionally. I'm not normally like on it other than my author stuff. In other words, I'm not normally scrolling on it, but I happen to see a few posts from authors from the Nanowrimo website, which I'll post a screenshot of it here on the screen for you guys. But it says something about how they are going to allow AI writing in Nanowrimo. So again, authors who are participating in Nanowrimo or the summer version of it can use AI to write their stories. And they said that if you don't like AI writing, essentially you that has associations with classist and ableist. So in other words, like your social class is you're privileged in order to hate AI, I guess, and then you're ableist because apparently people with disabilities can use AI to help their writing. So I want to talk about the controversy today, so let's do it. All right, so I have my own opinions on this, which I am going to talk about, but I'm going to try to be objective as possible and state kind of both sides. And then for me, I'm also, despite my personal opinion on this matter, I am kind of like, I don't really quite understand NaNoWriMo's wording, which was a little weird. So let's get into all the details. So obviously people are up in a storm, and the posts that I've seen so far personally are from authors who hate this because they are very heavily against AI. And the reasoning being is that in order to train AIs, whether it's AI art or AI like Gemini and ChatGPT that can be used to write, whether it's AI that creates music, because I'm seeing kind of a spark, a rise in those as well, on top of AIs that can generate whole videos for you. They have to be trained, and in order to be trained, they are taught writing or art or music, whatever the AI is for. They are taught that by other creators' content, whether that be art, music, writing, etc. So I just want to state that I do support creatives. I support artists, I support musicians, I support writers. Obviously, I am a writer. And also the AI programs that have been editing, that takes away editing jobs from editors like myself. So I support editors as well, and any other type of real human being behind something creative over an AI. And so their concern, they have a lot of hatred for it, justifiably so, in the sense that they feel like by using AI, not only are you cheating, you're not actually creating the content yourself, but that AI is generating that content based off what it learned from other people's creative content. So you're stealing from artists and writers and creatives in general, which is a valid perspective to have. And then the other side of it, which is my perspective as well, I'm kind of like right in the middle because I do see both sides to this. But my personal opinion is based on my experiences. So first of all, I'm an author and I'm an editor. You guys probably know that if you've watched any of my content. So I'm going to be talking more from an editor's perspective than a writer's one, because that's where I've encountered AI more prior to actually interacting with it myself, but I'll get into that in a minute. So essentially, as an editor, I have edited for a lot of clients at this point, and some of those are repeat clients, so I got used to their writing style. And as an editor, I'm sure you editors can relate to this, where if you're editing one particular writer, or you kind of get to know that writer's style as well as the mistakes that that writer typically makes. And this could be true for self-editing as well, like you know your weaknesses as a writer. You know, I've seen writers that really skilled with descriptions, but maybe their dialogue is a little weird, or maybe they just don't correctly use dialogue like action tags instead of like the he said, she said dialogue tags. So maybe there's a writer that's really good with description, but they're not so good with you know, the thoughts or emotions or whatever. So you learn the writer style, you learn their weaknesses and their strengths and so on and so forth. So I've had several instances where I've encountered, because at the time that ChatGPT became more of a thing a couple years ago, I started chatting with it and testing the waters just to see what it could do. I did a few videos about AI just because it's a fun topic to do a video about. And I just kind of tested the waters to see what it could do and if it would be helpful or not, that sort of thing. And in my interactions with it, when it would generate whatever content here or there, I noticed a pattern in the way that it talks and the way that it puts phrases and words together and all that other stuff. And so fast forward a few years, or whatever the timing was, where I would read my client stories, and I've had several instances with clients where I could actually tell the difference between their writing and the AI writing for certain paragraphs. There was one that would be, you could tell one client had written like a whole chapter was more AI written, and then you can tell the difference between that and his actual, like the client's actual writing, and the client's writing was better. And so anytime I came across this, I wouldn't call them out on it, I wouldn't judge it, I would simply edit what was there, even though I knew in my head this is AI written, because AI, regardless of whether it's Gemini or whether it's Chat GPT, it is very passive. It writes very passively, and it tells, it doesn't show, and you get a lot of passive writing with it. And there are certain passive phrases that are repeated from AI. So either these authors are learning their writing style based on kind of something generic that the AI also knows as well, or they generate them from AI. I don't actually know. I haven't confirmed it. I didn't bring it up to the people. So with that in mind, and that can easily be edited. And from my perspective, both as an editor and as an author, it doesn't really offend me personally if, say, you're writing a story and it's going really good, and then you get to a chapter and you're just kind of stuck, and you use the AI to either give you ideas how to get unstuck, or just to write that chapter so you can keep going, or that scene or that paragraph or whatever. It can be edited, and in my opinion, as long as it is edited out of the final product, and the final product is rewritten or written by an author, and is grammatically correct, because AI does not write grammatically correct and it makes a lot of mistakes. To me, I have no problem with it if it's edited out of the final content. But if you're using it in the planning, like the original planning stage, the outlining stage, or even just to help you get unstuck and write a paragraph or a scene here and there to get unstuck, as long as that's edited and rewritten in your own words, I don't have a problem with it. Now, here, my thoughts on it stealing from writers. Here's my perspective. Obviously, I hate that. I don't want my work stolen. I'm very OCD about that. I was very wary of like putting my books on like Wattpad and different sites like that way back in the day, but back then I didn't really care because I wasn't self-published yet. And so I'm very wary of releasing my stuff because I don't want it stolen. And so that does concern me. But in my chatting with ChatGPT and Gemini, I have learned that, for me at least, because my plots are very complex, there's a lot of race building and world building, and if I'm talking about something in the modern world where I don't have to do race building or world building, but my plots are still very complex, my characters are very detailed and complex and very unique to me and original. And when I'm chatting with ChatGPT or Gemini to get ideas or inspiration or help me outline or whatever it is, the conversation gets so in-depth, specific to my book, world, plot, characters, etc., that it cannot possibly be generating content from other writers in its responses. And so you could argue that the writing style would be similar and the phrases are similar, and that's where I would counter-argue, edit it, change it, rewrite it in your own words. And so for me, I have found in my personal experience, I am the kind of creative that I have to bounce ideas off of other people, and I haven't had too many author friends to do that over the years. I have, but it didn't work out and stuff with certain author friendships that I had a long time ago. And so I would bounce ideas off of my sister sometimes a little bit, and then mostly my husband. And so I would have to wait till he comes home from work, and by then sometimes he's exhausted from his day at work. He can't think, he has no ideas, and I just get stuck a lot of times. So when I started chatting with ChatGPT or Gemini to start generating ideas, it really streamlined my idea and outlining process, because I no longer had to wait for my husband to get home, and it wouldn't matter if he's tired and can't come up with ideas, because the AI is constantly generating things. And in my experience, most of the time, I would say 95% of the time, 90 to 95%, I don't actually use the ideas that the AI gives me. It's just the spark that ignites the flame of inspiration for me. And that's usually how it would go with me and my husband when we would interact, and we still do. I'm not saying we never do. Like the other night we were going out, I think it was our anniversary actually on Sunday. Was it Sunday? I don't know what day our anniversary was. anyways, when we were going out for our anniversary, we talked ideas, bounced each other off, and bounced ideas off of each other, and came up with a whole new story idea. But most of the time when I would interact with my husband, I was that way too, where I'd say, oh no, I kind of like the idea of this, and then my husband would take it, tweak it, and be like, well, what if this, this, and this? And I'm like, yeah, I kind of like that, but I would like this, and I would just bounce off of him. And by the time the book would actually be written, the ideas would be nothing like what he had told me, just because talking it out with somebody and hearing their suggestions gives me other ideas that I then bounce back, and it just keeps going, and then I come up with the final product, which is the story that I write. That's how I've always worked. That's how I work the AIs too, is my ideas are just bounced off of, and most of the time I don't use the ideas or concepts that are there. I've never used it in the actual writing before, with the exception of my sci-fi book. I was trying to write like an AI futuristic robotic type thing, and I asked the AI to kind of write how the AI would say something in the story, and so I did leave those lines of dialogue in there from the AI, because the AI that I was using actually made the AI in the story way more professional than I did. So yeah, that's basically my personal experience, and for me, writing has always been a hobby and a passion first. It was not a job. I've been writing since I was 10 for fun. I have written so many stories from the time I was 10 to the time I was a teenager to the time I graduated and went to college and then started self-publishing full-time. Writing is a fun hobby and experience, and it's not just a job for me, and therefore I will never really need to use the AI or want to use an AI to write my books, because I love writing. Now, that being said, writing does get hard sometimes, and more recently I have been in the mood to read a particular story and I couldn't find a book like it, and so I just kind of chatted with the AI, asked it to kind of write a scene about this, and then I just said keep going, and I was just reading it for fun. And then as the ideas have developed, I'm going to rewrite it in my own words and take the concepts that were there, tweak them, rewrite them, and make it my own. But at the time I just wanted to relax and read something, and I couldn't find a book like it, and that's kind of what was created from there. That was the first and only time I've done that and everything. There is another AI program I've started using called Poly AI, and it's an AI that is specifically designed to role play with you. And so you create a character and you come up with the name, the personality, the way the character talks, so the dialogue and how they put words together, their backstory, and then you start off the role play, and then you write your responses, and then the AI will respond to you in character. And for me, it's really fun, and I've generated a lot of different content that way. I have one book I'm writing for fun that's potentially a psychological thriller that I generated that way, and half of the story is mine, because I'm writing and I'm writing my responses, so my description and dialogue for all of the characters except for one, the main character, and then it replies, and then I bounce back, and it makes mistakes. It doesn't keep track of the story very well. It has a lot of issues. And so, but I do copy and paste those into a document that I will then use as kind of an outline starting point for the story. So I'll keep and kind of revise and edit and rewrite my side of things to be better, because, I'm just writing on my phone, so it's just casual. And then rewrite the main character's perspective, because I didn't do that. The AI did. And so, like I said, I won't use that in the book and in the final product that is edited and published, but it does help streamline the process, because I can do it when I'm winding down and relaxing and not really having to think that hard, because half the story is not being written by myself. And then I can either switch the role play and then do the other half of it at a different time, which for some reason actually helps the creative process for me. And so one thing is, I've always liked experimenting. I love trying new writing challenges and new things. I've always been kind of like wanting to innovate, and so I always try new things, new writing platforms, new concepts, that sort of thing. And so for me, ChatGPT was the first AI I started working with, and then Gemini. And recently Gemini has gotten really dumb, and it's really dumbed down, and so all of its responses and ideas and things just aren't good at all. It is like gotten back to the level of like an elementary school student or something. Like, it is so stupid. And I've switched back to ChatGPT, which is fine, but the fun thing, and it's actually gotten smarter and more intelligent, it seems like, but they have like a subscription service where you can generate so much of their premium responses, their better responses, the more intelligent ones, if you will, you can generate so much of that for free, and then you reach your limit unless you're subscribed, and I'm not going to do that. So it's kind of like it's cut my interactions with AI down quite a bit, and recently I've kind of gotten away from poly AI as well. So my thoughts, though, now that I've had all the context here, is that AI will never replace creatives, and specifically AI writing is what we're talking about. But I mean this, like musicians, art, you name it, there's a lack of humanity in what AI creates. This is just not the same thing. But specifically with AI writing, like I said, it's very passive, it's very telling, not showing, and there is a certain lack of like being, I don't know how to explain this, but it's like it doesn't get specific, especially I think it was Gemini, but it's like it doesn't really get specific, and it kind of like writes these what I would consider short stories or flash fictions that kind of go over the vague concepts, and it may have action, it may have dialogue, it may seem like a story, but there's still a lack of getting to the nitty-gritty of what makes a story on top of the passive writing and the telling instead of showing. And so in my personal opinion, AIs will never be as good as actual writers because of those reasons, and probably a lot more. They just don't write as well, and they never will, and there's a certain like just a lack of humanity to it. And so for me, all of these people who have this like this actual, what am I trying to say? This genuine concern and fear of AIs replacing writers, that is not true. It's not going to happen. Writers, like you can tell the difference. For somebody who is trained, who knows, writers and editors, readers may not be able to, some readers probably could, but writers and editors especially know the difference. It is obvious. It is very obvious what the difference between AI and an actual human writer. Now here's my problem, because again, the concerns with AI are extremely valid. I see all of their perspectives. What I have a problem with is when they they take it a step further and they start hating on and canceling anybody who uses AI. Now, there is such a thing, in my opinion, as using AI in a wrong way, where for instance, like a business person doesn't know how to write, and they generate a story AI, they do whatever they need to do to make a cover, whether they use AI or not, and then they sell it, and then they make thousands of dollars on it. That, I could see how that would be problematic. But then when you think about it, before AI was invented, you'd have those same business people who would hire ghostwriters to write the books for them, and then they would pay the ghostwriter a minimal amount that's not worth what the work the ghostwriter put into writing it, but they did mutually agree to it, but still. So the business writer would hire the ghostwriter for a minimal amount, and then they take that, what the ghostwriter wrote, and then resell it, and then make thousands of dollars off of it anyway. So in a way, those same business people are still used to, and probably still do, profit off of the writing of other writers. It's just in that case, the writers kind of consented to it and wrote with it. Whereas, the AI, there's no consent in place, and and I don't think that the business writers are really paying attention to getting really specific and detailed with the AI so that it's not copying from other people or taking from other content like a writer would, like I do, for instance, when I'm talking and interacting with the AI, where I'm talking about my world, my race, my characters, my plot line, and it's so detailed and complex that responding to it the AI literally would not be able to take from anything else, because I'm talking about my content, whereas a business guy is probably more than likely generating a generic prompt based on whatever genre they want to write in, and going and calling it good, and then selling that. So there are lots of different ways that AI writing can be unethical, if you will, for lack of a better term. But I still, on the other side, the flip side of it, I don't think it's fair for people who disagree with using AI to hate on and cancel and keep going after anybody who uses AI and ostracizing them. Now, if you don't want to support somebody who used AI in their creation, for example, that's fine. That is your personal feelings and opinion. You shouldn't be forced to. But I have seen a lot of comments where they're just hating on anybody who uses AI, and now they're canceling NaNoWriMo, the program and website. I don't necessarily know if they're canceling the whole concept and the challenge behind NaNoWriMo, but either way, they're canceling the NaNoWriMo website just because they have this allowance of AI writing. Now, I do see the perspective, on the other hand, that that's not quite fair, because are they really actually completing the NaNoWriMo challenge of writing 50,000 words in a month if they're generating that content and not actually writing it themselves, compared to us writers who actually do put the blood, sweat, and tears into writing 50,000 words in 30 days for NaNoWriMo? So I do see that side of things too, but does that mean that they should be canceled? And then my last problem with NaNoWriMo on the other side of the argument is I don't know what they mean by saying that if you disagree with AI writing, that it's a classist problem and you're ableist. I can see an argument for people who are disabled in certain ways using AI to help streamline their process, and even writers who aren't disabled like me. I use it to streamline my process, and I have no disabilities other than IBS, but that doesn't really count. So I can see how it could make things easier for a disabled person to write, but then you have all these examples of writers who have been disabled who have written books themselves and didn't use AI for it. So do you really need AI to actually write with or not? So I don't really agree that it is ableist to disagree with writing with AI. And then I don't have any idea how it would be considered classist, because anybody can have access to ChatGPT and Gemini and some of these free ones if you have phone or internet or a computer. So I mean, maybe if you're really, really poor, you don't have access to a phone or computer or internet. But if you're that poor, I'm pretty sure that writing is not going to inhibit you. And then you could still write if you have the ability to get the materials for it, and you don't need AI to do that. And so I'm still not sure how AI is a classist issue. Yeah, you still may have problems getting pen and paper, in which case writing in general would be a classist issue, because poor people can't do it if they don't have the materials. But that's still not going to stop you from coming up with the ideas in your head, talking about them out loud. You know, there are still other ways to create if you can't get the materials to do it. So that's where I disagree with NaNoWriMo. And then, like I said, I see both sides. I see why people use AI, in my opinion, so long as it's not in the final product and the whole book isn't written by an AI, and there's not scenes or paragraphs or chapters written by it, and it's rewritten in your own words, and you're just using it to help with your outlining, your inspiration, getting ideas if you get stuck, helping you. Maybe you're terrible at writing fight scenes, and so you kind of use it to help you out, or maybe you're terrible at writing dialogue and it's helping with that, which, by the way, AI is not going to help you with any of that stuff, the dialogue especially. So I see that side, but I also see why people are concerned about AI. I just don't like when they start attacking people who do, because there are valid reasons for using it, and that's not, and somebody else using AI is not actually going to inhibit or hurt you as an author. I am a writer, and I'm proud of the books that I write, and the books that I write are not threatened by somebody else using AI to write their stories or help them in their creative process at all. My books are my books, and I know that when God inspires me, I'm a very creative person. I love my stories. I love the books that I write and create. I have a lot of fun with them. That I know that they're very good books and they're super entertaining, and I don't need validation in that sense. So it's like, I know that what I write is good content, and I'm not gonna be threatened by somebody else using AI in their creative process. And even if, like, you have those business guys, this is actually happening where businesses are using AI to write books, sell them, make thousands of dollars off of them, and you get ads for, hey, this is a super cool, this is a way that I've made thousands of dollars off of AI writing a book for me. You have ads like that where they're teaching and coaching people how to use AI to write books to make money. It's happening. And that's the other thing about this topic too, is that AI is being used, and it's not going away, and it's only going to get better and be more innovated as time progresses. And so we're going to have to learn to accept this, whether you hate it or not. And like I said, you have people who are the businesses who are creating it anyway, but that still in no way threatens me and the stories that I create, because those are unique to me. That comes out of my brain, my creativity, maybe my husband or my sister or whoever I talk ideas with, or God who inspires me, but it's still my story, my ideas coming from my brain, and no AI will ever threaten that. And that's the thing that people need to be reassured about, is that somebody else using AI is not going to threaten you, and it's not going to take away jobs from actual writers, because readers crave books, and they will always crave books to be entertained by it. And I would say that another writer who is really good writing in your genre may take away readers from you because they read another author's book instead of your own. That may be a threat. But AI will never threaten authors, because there's a need for the human nature part that goes into creating things, whether that's writing, music, art, a creative thing in general, creative hobby in general. So what do you guys think about all of this and the Nanowrimo thing that they put on their website? Let me know in the comments below what you guys think, but please keep it respectful, and please don't hate on anybody who is on the other side of the argument, especially if you hate AI. Please don't cancel or hate or be rude to people who do, because a lot of people have valid reasons for it. And like I said, it's not really gonna hurt you personally if somebody else chooses to use AI. You can choose to stay away from it and not support those kind of authors. And in my opinion, as long as it's edited or rewritten out of the story, there's no problem with using it in the initial stages to help your creativity, because a lot of people don't get past that because of procrastination and writer's block and all that stuff. But let me know your comments below, and if you like this video, please be sure to give it a like and subscribe for more writing and reading videos every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. And in the meantime, if you liked my video about AI in this controversial topic, then check out the other videos that I've done about AI. It's a really fascinating topic, and yes, it's controversial, but I had a lot of fun with some of these videos, so check them out. You don't want to miss them.